It's that time. It is the Ask Jason Questions series, and we're so pumped. It's sponsored by Bill.com. Our firm's been using Bill.com, I don't know, forever. We use it with any controller-based client. Since we work virtually, all of our controller-based clients have to work on top of this Bill.com platform. And of course, Bill.com is always rebuilding their systems and updating their systems. So it's an AI-enabled platform. Actually, it learns how you put documents in that. So we're pumped to have Bill.com as a sponsor. And if you go here, right there, we built some checklists. Our firm did with Bill.com on how to roll a client effectively into the Bill.com product, which is really cool. Thank you, Bill.com, for doing that with us. So we have a great question from Shane on the Ask Jason Question series today, and it is, what do you think of management pricing based upon a percentage of client sales? So he sent me a link to a pricing model, which was really cool. So I have some positive and maybe negative constructive things just to think about, because overall it's a really cool model. So basically, at different levels of the client's gross profit, this accounting firm is going to charge a certain percentage of the gross profit of the client. So some good things about that is it's really creative. That's really cool. Any kind of pricing into a market that's creative and sets you apart really can be a great way to position yourself and brand yourself. So that's kind of cool to do it in a way that probably nobody would do. Shane's taken some risks, and pricing does take risks. Now, note that what Shane's doing is pricing, not billing, right? So pricing is something you always calculate up front before you ever provide the service. So Shane is doing some creative pricing, which is really cool. I also like it is because this pricing is based upon how well the client does, right? If their business gets better, then the accounting firm makes more money. So they don't charge more just because they want to. They're tied in to what the client is wanting to make, which is really cool. Now, some things to think about on this pricing side is that it's still not clear what this pricing is, right? Well, one benefit of pricing, that is, again, pricing is where you provide your price up front before the service has ever begun. Billing is when you send a bill afterward based upon some historical exercise or effort, typically hourly billing or something like that. So pricing is always done up front. It's got to be really clear. So this pricing may not be that clear, right? So a client still doesn't know what they're going to be billed. Now Shane alludes to it in that web page, which makes really good sense because he's anticipating that from the client, but the client still is going to feel a little bit of anxiety with not knowing their price. And that's one thing around pricing that you have to overcome with clients. You have to do a lot of client education around their anxiety. Because typically if you're pricing up front, they're thinking possibly, do you know what you're doing? Do you know if this is the right price? Now, it takes other types of anxiety away, right? That they won't know the bill until you perform the service. So here they still don't really know what they're getting. Now, another thing that's hard is that this pricing, pricing has to really make sure it's a win-win, right? It's got to be good for your firm and the client. So this may be good for the client, not sure, but it has to be good for you too as a firm. That's why we always want to calculate our own pricing. We don't ever want a client influencing us as to what their pricing is. So for example, if a client says, here's my budget, that doesn't matter to us. A budget is just a piece of information. They can give that to us if they want to. Our pricing is what we calculate. It's what our firm can afford. It's what we know we need to be funded by that client to have a profitable firm. So what they want to pay is sometimes irrelevant. What we're telling them is this is the price we need to be paid, and it's all based upon subjectively what you get out of the value of what we do. So this price, is it. I don't know if it's good for the firm. It may not be, right? Because at one certain level, there's no floor designated to the price. it seems like the client could go really, really low and the firm be paid $20, a month, basically because it's just a percentage of their gross profit. What if their gross profit is really low? So you need some kind of floor to go below, probably, to make sure it's also a good calculation for the firm. So overall, I really like this. Probably our firm wouldn't do this because it is really risky. We have a lot of team members and we have to take care of them. So we have to have any client engagement has to have a guaranteed level of money we're going to be making. We have to have that on every single client. This is a huge risk-based approach. And what that means is you can make a lot of money if you can convince and sell a client of its value. So I like it in that you could make a lot of money with this risk. But for a firm like ours that has more team members, more salaries, we have to be really careful and make sure that our calculation of price is pretty precise. Actually, we have to know how much money we're going to make because we're paying salaries and things like that. So firms that grow with teams have a little less leeway to take risks than other firms that could just go out there and take all the risks they want. So Shane, I don't know if that answers your question. I'm just giving you some thoughts on the positive and the negatives as to what I see this pricing be in the market. Super creative. I think some people have tried stuff like that. It's high risk. It's real high risk. I wouldn't say it's just risk. It's in the high risk category. And so when anything's in the high risk category, you need somebody vetting that through to make sure it is right, which you're doing, which is why you sent a question in. So I love it. Try it, see what happens. Maybe don't do it for all clients. Just throw it out for one or two and minimize your risk a little bit that way. And then do some more regular value pricing up front on a monthly basis or something like that to mitigate risk. So I hope that helps, Shane. Thank you so much for sending in that question. I rambled a little bit, but there's just so much to that question we could get into. But I hope that's helpful. So, and if you want to send in a question, you can send a question into info@thriveal.com. And we will answer it live every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So thank you, accounting firm owners, for sending in a question. We'll check you later. See ya.